So, welcome to our lecture series. Before we start with the topic, the SDGs with Franz Fehr, I have to pronounce two other points. You got an email from the Rectorat because we have an evaluation about this lecture series. And we invite you to fill out this link, please. It's helpful for our Rectorat, but it's also helpful for us that we can look how we can improve our lecture series. And the second topic is we have a panel discussion. I'm going to talk that in German because the panel discussion is in German as well. It's from the Scientists for Future. And it's the topic about Windrad oder Gipfelkreuz. Ich glaube, das ist eine sehr sehenswerte Diskussion. Ihr seid da recht herzlich eingeladen. Die ist am Montag, am 26.01. um 18:30 Uhr online. Den Link schicken wir gerne nochmal auch aus, damit ihr den habt. Ich glaube, es sind sehr, sehr interessante TeilnehmerInnen am Panel, unter anderem eben der Wolfgang Streicher von der Universität Innsbruck, dann auch zwei Personen vom WWF, genauso wie die Professor Sabine Bahl, die auch im APCC mitgewirkt hat. Ich glaube, also, ihr seid da recht herzlich eingeladen, euch auch diese Panel-Discussion anzusehen. So, let's start with the lecture series. It's a great pleasure to welcome Franz Fehr to our lecture today, because he is a speaker who is uniquely bridged the gap between the high-level academic research, political strategy, and hands-on community service. As the SDG coordinator within the Rectorat of BOKU, the University of Vienna, Franz is at the forefront of implementing the UN SDGs at one of Europe's leading life science universities. His influence, however, extends far beyond at the campus. If you have a short look at the science advocacy, he's also a member of Scientists for Future and the Austria chapter, and played an important role in the UniNEtZ, as where I worked in the same project. There he has been, he served as a chair of the UniNEtZ Council, so he coordinates the scientific community's contributions to the national policy. About the political network, Franz is known as an exceptional networker within strong ties to the political sphere, particularly within the ÖVP, but also across all other major parties. He acts as a crucial translator between scientific necessary and political reality. Rooted in practice, his commitment to sustainability is lived, not just discussed. As a local council member and firefighter in Rondorf, so it's in the Lower Austria, and through his long-standing work in disaster control, he brings a practical feet-on-the-ground perspective to even the most complex global challenges. We are very much looking forward to his presentation on the SDGs. He will guide us through the origin of these goals, provide a critical update on where we stand today, and most important, discuss the vision for what happens beyond 2030. Franz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ingo. Warm welcome, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here and speak about a topic that's really hard-taking from my side. As Ingo said, I'm since about 30 years in politics involved, especially in environmental politics. And since about 20 years, I'm in the science area and try to fix out the important data for the important decisions. In my lecture now, I would like to give you a short introduction to the history of the United Nations, the sense of United Nations. I would like you to know and to know by heart, or to feel what what the importance of the United Nations is about, and then go on with the environmental topics and the connections of United Nations with environmental of the protection of our environment, and also the view as the people in the center of the work of United Nations. And I will pick out some details about the Sustainable Development Goals, and after all of that, I would like to get in discussion with you and talk about the crucial points of sustainability nowadays. Just to start with you and introduce you into the topic, the United Nations are formed for giving peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. They are one place where the world's nations can gather together, discuss common problems, and find shared solutions. The foundation of the United Nations was 1945 with 51 member states. It was after World War II, and they're grown to currently 193 member states. There are 5 principal organs, or as main bodies of the United Nations that are established in the or by the UN Charter. It's the General Assembly, the Security Council, the International Court of Justice, the UN Secretary, and the UN Economic and Social Council. And there are other topical structures as they are formed as they are needed. That's a picture of the UN headquarters in New York. And that's what it looks like when decisions are made there, and there are about 1,000 people in the rooms, and you can estimate how long the discussion's going and how hard it is to go into detail in these discussions. So the main 2 documents of the United Nations are, as I mentioned already, the UN Charter. It was amended 3 times in the 60s and 70s of the last century, and that's one document that's to me is really important. It's the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It was established or accepted by the General Assembly in 1948 in Paris, and it's got 4 pillars. It's dignity, liberty, equality, and brotherhood. I think brotherhood is just a rather old word. Nowadays we would more say it's solidarity. And for me, very important is the first article that declares that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. And everything United Nations are doing belong to this one sentence. So I would like you to get focus on this sentence and try to understand the importance, because I think it's also the main sentence for our common culture. And I think nowadays, looking at around on our planet, this first article is going to be eroded. Yeah, there are many governments already that would wish that this article would vanish. The goals and tasks of the United Nations are peace and security, human rights, international law, and development. And talking about or thinking on development, it's especially on poverty, inequality, so the lowering of poverty and inequality, or getting rid of it, and the foundation of education and health. It's rather warm. If you agree, I will put off my jacket. Special features of the United Nations is that they are universally accepted, and there's a whole system of the United Nations with specialized agencies like the World Health Organization or the UN Children's Organization. It's a forum of dialogue, and as I already said, it's a platform of international negotiation. So it's voluntary for the states to negotiate with the others. There are 4 locations. The UN headquarters are in New York City, in Genf. There's also the World Trade Organization in Nairobi, and there's also a conference center in Vienna. Now we go further to the focus on the sustainable development concerning United Nations. The first main step was, from my side, the Brundtland report. Maybe you've heard of it. Did anybody heard of already about the Brundtland report? Okay. Ms. Brundtland was a former minister of Norway, and she was the head of the World Council for Environment and Development. And they tried to figure out in the 80s to make a definition what sustainability means. And there are two definitions. One of them is rather common. It's the integrational equity. I just read it. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So it's also about generations equality and rights of generations, of future generations. I think maybe you all heard about this definition already. Did you? Yeah, rather. And the second definition, it's not so common, and I like both definitions very much. It's the second one is the holistic behavioral change. So following that, sustainability is essentially sustainable development is a process of change in which the use of resources, the direction of investment, the direction of technological development and institutional change are harmonized and increase the current and future potential to meet human needs and desires. So it's again, human is in the focus. But following this definition, sustainable development is a process, and that's the main thing I would like to know. I would like you to know. So further milestones of sustainable development processes in the United Nations is that 1992 Agenda 21 was adopted. It was the first agenda going towards sustainability. In 2000, there had been the adoption of the Millennium Declaration, and within this declaration, there is a definition of the Millennium Development Goals. It's, these goals, they are focused on supporting countries in the global south. There was focus about health, on poverty, on education. And they had been planned to be set for about 10 years, but it took about 15 years until there was a following agenda. In 2012, there was the past Rio plus 20 conference, so 20 years after 1992. And there had been many discussions about already about climate change. So a lot of the climate change documents and processes started there. And there had been also establishing of the high-level political forum of sustainable development, which nowadays usually meets once a year at the United Nations headquarters. And in 2013, this high-level political forum opened the working group to develop the Sustainable Development Goals. And so now we get into the main topic for the day, the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It was adopted 2015 by all United Nations member states at the General Assembly. And the key ideas, and would wish that you now get your focus on these two points because they're quite unusual. One key idea is to leave no one behind. So it's also again about that each person on the world should have the same rights to live. Even you can think it also another way, that each country in the world has the same rights to develop and flourish. And the second idea was that all countries on Earth are developing countries. So it's not only the countries on the global south that are developing countries and should be like the Western countries. It's another mindset. It means that each country has to go on developing towards sustainability, and with varying degrees of urgency in the areas of development. And these areas of development are the 17 goals for sustainable development of the UN 2030 agenda. So these 7 goals are also called the SDGs. Who of you ever heard about the SDGs? Okay, so excepting one person, it's rather new what you hear today. So fine to speak to you. So maybe I can tell important things. So in this UN 2030 agenda, all the countries in the world negotiated to go on developing in 17 areas, these 17 areas of sustainability. And to go into detail, they also fixed 169 targets. So these specific goals to reach, or the operational goals to reach. And there's a setup of about 200 indicators. I wrote it wrong, I see here. Still the German word. There are 200 indicators to measure and control how the goals are reached by the countries. So I said 2015, the agenda was adopted by the United Nations. It was at the General Assembly in September, and in February 2016, in Austria, the Council of Ministers did the ratification of the Sustainable Development Goals. And to implement these goals in Austrian politics or policy and governance, they took the mainstreaming approach. There are 2 approaches how national governments can utilize the SDGs. One approach is that one minister is responsible for all the goals, and has to fix all the processes. And the other approach is the mainstreaming approach. That means that each minister, each country, so in Austria, each Bundesland, and even each community, so each Stadt and Dorf, has to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. And this mainstreaming approach is, to my mind, it's got benefits, but it's got also disadvantages. The advantage is that everybody in Austria should work on reaching the SDGs. But as we saw here, not everybody knows that. And also the politicians didn't, or many of the politicians don't know to do that. even some ministers maybe don't really know it and have to be remembered about their task to do. What Austria did, it was the Bundeskanzleramt and the Foreign Ministry. They produced together 2 voluntary national reviews in the last 5 years. So they took a look at what's happening in Austria to reach the goals, and there are also some federal countries, Bundesländer in Austria, that will also do in the next 2 years, I think, some voluntary reviews on the implementation of the SDGs. And there is continuous SDG monitoring of these SDG indicators, which is done by Statistik Austria. And they produce the SDG indicators report each year. So that's, to my mind, a very important controlling instrument to look if we're going towards SDGs or not. One central point in general of the SDGs of the UN 2030 agenda is that all these 17 goals, beginning from no poverty, ending with peace, is that they're interconnected and rely on each other. So that this makes many of the processes very complex, but there are also a lot of synergies between these goals. And so when the process is started, some or many things go rather hand in hand. So now going into detail or into further detail with the SDGs, you see we've got 17 goals. One, it starts with poverty, no hunger. These are had also been goals of the Millennium Development Goals. There's health, and it goes till peace and partnerships, global partnerships between countries, and there had been some tries to keep structure in these SDGs, and following the 3-dimensional definition of sustainability, we can say there are some SDGs, so the founding SDGs, that are focused on environment. It's the life on land, it's land ecosystems, it's the life below water, that's marine ecosystems. So that's 15 and 14. 6 is water and sanitation, so it's about drinking water and groundwater. And it's 13, it's climate change, or it's climate and climate change. Then on the middle, or in the middle, it's about the social system, it's about humans, it's poverty, it's infrastructure, it's peace. It's also about energy systems, but it's also about health, about education, about gender equality, and about hunger. And in the upper area, the third area, it's about economy, it's about infrastructure, it's about consumption, and on the all over the top, it's again about the SDG 17. It's about the partnerships between humans, between generations, and between the countries all over the world. Now, I want to point out one SDG is SDG 13, the climate change. Sorry, that's the wrong. I want to skip that. And here's a picture about the global CO2 emissions. And I see I got the German text. This was a mistake. So you see that the CO2 emissions in China had been rather rising about the last 20 years. I think that's what everybody of us would estimate. We see that the emissions, CO2 emissions of EU 27 countries are getting lower. Also, the CO2 emission of the US. But I have to say that that's a slide from the data points end at 2021. Maybe now they are rising again. Yeah, and also India is again rising. What to my mind is very important is the right picture, because when we look at these emissions and think about the emissions per capita, so thinking about that each person has the same rights on Earth, so we see a rather different picture. We see that India, it's very low CO2 emissions. China quite is rising, reaching now the dimensions of Europe, and the US is quite high. So I think taking serious this idea of equality and equal rights of each person, we have to say that also each person has the same right for emissions. How are we in time? I'm speaking for about 20 minutes so far, is this? Right, okay. Yeah. I think I skipped this slide. Okay. So now I would like to go into another aspect. It's what's happening with this agenda. What will happen after 2030? Which countries are engaged in reaching these sustainable development goals? What's up in Europe? And yeah, maybe we can talk afterwards how to save the world. What as I feel, we always think that we in Europe are the most busy countries concerning the SDGs in environmental protection. But if we see who is doing the most work in the SDGs, there's this is one example. It's the amount of voluntary local reviews. So how many communities and federal countries make local reviews and report what they are doing for SDGs. So we can see that South American countries are the first one. It's Argentina, it's Mexico, it's Brazil. Then followed by some European or EU country, Germany, Finland, Spain, and when we look at the states of the European Union, there's an annual report. It's the Global SDG Index. And we look at the report of last year. Well, we've got the order of the score from the European countries. So Austria is in the middle. We are on place 6. But what to my mind is much more important is the status of the SDG target. And we see that rather more than the half targets are on track. And about 1/3 there's only limited progress, and about 25% there's even that the target's getting worse. I think that's quite alarming. And on this slide you can see which SDGs are those where we are struggling the most. Or maybe first we should look at the targets. We are quite good. It's SDG 1, it's the, the topic of poverty. It's quite low in Europe. It's about energy. We all got good energy or enough energy in Austria or in Europe. Also, the industry is quite developed. We all got quite enough drinking water, especially in Austria. But we've got these colors. Sorry, I forgot to say that. It's like a traffic light system. It's green is means we're good. Yellow is we should pay attention, and red is we're on the wrong track. And looking at SDG 12, the responsible consumption and production, we're on a bad track. Looking at climate change, we're not on a good track, and that's also for a topic for Austria. Life below water. It's about marine ecosystems, but also we in Austria we've got no seashore, but we also got impact on our marine ecosystems, where we should make much more efforts. One topic that's in this slide is orange, but I think it will be red in a few years for Austria is SDG 15. It's life on land, and this SDG is on ecosystems on land and also on limnological water, so on sweet water areas like rivers, because we are also sealing much too much land, and so land degradation and soil consumption is still hard on track. Something also very alarming is that the growth rate in reaching the SDGs, the development goals, is stagnating. I think so. In the years when they started, 2015 till 2020, there was quite much motivation to go towards sustainability, and this graphic shows that in the last 4 years or 5 years, from 2020 to 2024, the efforts concerning all the SDGs except SDG 17 are going back. So we're doing less on sustainable development in Europe, in all over the world. These slides are especially for Europe, and I can't really understand this development. One slide I would like to show you is it's about many people are now very nervous about the impact of the actual US government. We also see that Donald Trump is shocking all over the world from week to week with new funny ideas. But that's also has also strong impacts on the United Nations. But with this slide, I would like to show that this is nothing new. The United States, for the last 30 years, didn't go along with many of the decision making in the United Nations. So they play a special role for centuries, and the new ways of making politics of Donald Trump is quite nothing so new for the United Nations. And if you see then other big countries like China and Brazil, they they've got about, sorry, at about 80% of the decision makings they had been voting with the most of the other countries together. Sorry, this is. Well, what to my mind is very important for us to know is that in the end it comes down to values. We want the world our children inherit to be defined by the values enshrined in the UN Charter: peace, justice, respect, human rights, tolerance, and solidarity. And what I want to say is that it's not only important that we go on the technical details and try to get new, how to say, technical inventions to get further towards sustainability. It's also how we see, how we live, and it's also about a cultural change in our society. I think we have to develop another picture of humans in the world and of the relationship from us to our planet. Otherwise, we might how to say, end up in war and conflicts. So far, that's my presentation. These are the most important things I wanted to say to you. I would like now to go with you into discussion, and maybe also discuss some details of the SDGs, of sustainable development in Austria, even sustainable development concerning the United Nations. And if you would like to, we can also discuss some further details of the UniNEtZ project we had the last few years. One thing I missed, I think I got some slides wrong. The next step towards when Agenda 2030, so the agenda will end in 4 years. So it's planned that next year there will be the setup of a team to develop the post agenda 2030. But as it looks like now, one of the hardest wishes of the SDG experts are that we develop a 18th SDG, and this SDG should be around the topic of sustainability culture. But as I see now, most of the UN countries are struggling with economic development, and I think that the 2030 agenda will have a how to say, Verlängerung, elongation, like it was the same with the MDGs 20 years ago. Thank you so far.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for all the graphs and the details. Before we open the discussion, I wanna ask you, because always if I have a look on that topic, I get a bit depressed about how it's going. Can you tell us about something? Makes it sense to extend the SDGs, to go further with it? Because we had, as we have shown, you didn't talk about it. We have the Kyoto Protocol, what we didn't fulfill. We had the MDGs, what we didn't fulfill. Now we have the SDGs. They are more complicated. We didn't fulfill. Makes it sense to go on that and to spend more money, more resources on that topic, or is it just we need a different way?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Yes, it makes sense, absolutely. To me, to my mind, it's very important that we've got our annual reports. Yeah, that in Austria, there's an annual indicators, SDG indicators report. The high political level forum at the United Nations headquarters meets each year with, I think, 3,000 to 4,000 experts that are there. And even if the highest politics don't give too much attention on the environmental processes, these experts do, and they, as long as they stay in contact, a process is going on. And what I also wanted to show with these slides, especially with this slide, I think we in Europe think that we are the center of how to say, of the intentions and of the motivated people going towards sustainability. Yeah, but as I also learned it from my visits at the UN headquarters, that's not true. Yeah, it's also many cities, especially many cities in Southern America, but also many cities and federal countries in Asia, in East Asia. They're really hard working on sustainability processes and making much efforts. Yeah. So I think we, even thinking about the discussions, especially in Austria, also in my political areas, we should do our homework, yeah, and the others do their. And when we all do what we can do, yeah, the world will be good, yeah. But we shouldn't always blame the other ones, yeah. And I'm really sad about the blaming of, yeah, first China has to do, or first US has to do, and what shall we do in Austria? We don't make no difference, yeah, but we do make difference. And there comes to me one SDG that is very important but not seen. It's SDG 2 and 15 in combination. It's how we what we eat, yeah, our nutrition system, especially. I'm a soil and agricultural scientist, so that's a topic that's quite near to me. In Austria, we're eating about 3 times more meat than is healthy. Yeah? I'm not talking about being vegetarian or vegan, but if we would eat only 20 kilo meat per year instead of 60, many people in Austria, many people would be much healthier, yeah, and it would be much healthier for our planet. Yeah, it would be much healthier for the climate system. It would be much healthier for the soil system, for drinking water system, and we should focus on these. As I said, in the 2030 agenda, each country is a developing country. Yeah, and we should have the focus on the topics where we should develop. Yeah, and other countries got other topics, maybe the health system or bringing electrical energy to everyone. Each country should look what they have to do, and we know, the experts know what to do. Yeah, especially we saw with the UniNEtZ project, where we worked out these things. We in this project, I think we saw that there are many points for decision makers to take the right decisions, but there was no point where we didn't know what to do. Yeah? We, especially in Austria, from the scientific side, we know what to do. Yeah? It just has to be done by the government and also for sure from decision makers in economy.
Thank you very much. So the discussion is open if you have any questions.
Yeah, thanks. My question is about the UN Charter. As you say that the UN Charter was amended in the 1973, the last time, and since this time, I think, in my opinion, like we have a lot of example where the UN fall for his goal, and actually, it is planned to have an update of the UN Charter or something like this.
The question exactly, what was the last two sentences?
Okay. Actually, it is planned that the UN Charter should have an update or something like this.
Okay. You think if it should be amended from you? No, and I think so. It's not planned as far as I know. And I think I'm quite happy with that it's not planned, because as I thought in the last 2 or 3 years, the discussions at the General Assemblies, I think when we would now make changes, yeah, I think we would go in the wrong direction, because from my point of view, the last few meetings had been dominated from the Ukrainian conflict, yeah, from the several ideas Donald Trump brought in, and these how to say, the visions they have, yeah, they're not meeting the goals of the United Nations, and so I'm really I hope that there is no amendment in the next 4 or 5 years, and that there's also the many experts from NGOs and also from governments nowadays hope that there's no post 2030 agenda, but they hope that the 2030 agenda will elongate it, because if it would be discussed from new, maybe the goals would be minimized, maybe even cutted. So I think the United Nations are now in a time, in a critical time they haven't been since the last 40 not 40, 80 or 90 years. So it's really critical now in our times. I think times are changing, yeah, in these years, and I don't know what the world will look after this change in a few years. 5 years ago, I thought everything will be rather better, and we've got also some university projects where we go to force transformation of society with the objective of sustainability. Yeah. But now I feel society is transforming, yeah, but not towards these sustainability goals, maybe even in the different direction, in the opposite.
Thank you very much. There are other questions?
So these 17 goals seems like huge topics and like huge problems, which can only be solved by governments and decision makers. Is there anything you think we could do as a single person to support to achieve those goals?
Unfortunately, yes, absolutely, and I think the world will not be changed to a good world from the politics. It is on us, and unfortunately, I had some how to say, I put the wrong slides in, because I would have some slides for that. To my mind, it's very important, and danke. It's very important that all of us, maybe just saying, yeah, one slide is sustainability starts with you and me, and I don't mean now that we all should eat. I also mean that we should all eat less meat and do less flying by trains and stuff. Yeah, but what I really in focus mean is that we all should go to elections, that we all should raise our voices if we feel things are wrong. And as Ingo said before, I'm not only a scientist or in the management of science. I'm also since about 30 years in local governmental system and also worked for 10 years in the federal country of Lower Austria as head of the environmental office. And I see how sustainability processes starts. They usually don't start with one certain idea of a scientist or a politician. They usually start with the demand from the people. Yeah. And as I think back at the Fridays for Future process, they really changed a lot in political systems in Austria, all over the world, but also in Austria. And I think it might be really wrong to hope that political decision makers will make the right decisions because they are voted for that. Yeah. No, we have to raise our voices and force them to do that. Yeah. That's really important. And in Austria, we've got the possibility to go on the streets and raise our voices without being afraid to get in prison or tortured or something. That's not everywhere in the world like that. And so as long as we can say what we want and need, yeah, we should do that. And for sure, it's important to also have a healthy and environmental friendly lifestyle because other people see that. And maybe one additional sentence is, the more I travel all over the world, the more I see how important the European lifestyle is for all over the world, because it's for many cultures in all over the world, in Africa or Asia, even in America, maybe not in Northern America, but it's a role model people would like to or people see as good life. And if we, for example, go on eating that much pork, yeah, also Chinese people would like to eat that much pork. Yeah? and this also drives the world in certain directions. So we also have to think about that.
Thank you very much. There are other questions as well.
Within this lecture series, we also heard about the IDGs. I'm not sure if you've heard of those, but really interested me, especially because a lot of these topics boil down to individual.
There are many, or there's some federal countries or even some states that really try to bring these IDGs also in political decision making.
Franz, can you short explain what the IDGs are? I don't think that everybody
sorry,
knows it.
I should have prepared some slides. Forgot that. IDGs are the inner development goals, and I think they're very connected to that what I said in the beginning, how we see the world, how we see us in our world, and it's there are also some how to say some checkpoints for having a good lifestyle, healthy and good lifestyle, and to live a conscious life. I think they, or as far as a field there in northern, in Scandinavian countries, they're quite important also in society, and also in Germany and Austria, Switzerland, they're getting more and more relevant. They're even I think in Upper Austria, there are also some and also in Vienna and are some groups that try to promote that, yeah, and I think they can help us really to get what I said, get the sustainability feeling, yeah, for us and also for the surrounding world, our environment. But there's one not one thing. I think it's just they're not so easy to implement into governance and political structures as the SDGs are. Yeah. I think the SDGs are quite easy to implement, and we've got now a 10 years process, and they're still not perfectly working as I showed. And also the changes now in our culture, I feel that they're more going against the IDGs as with them along. But I think we should, and no, I don't only think, also on our university, we're also trying to implement them also in teaching, and also make trainings on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I should have talked more about that.
Thank you very much. I heard a sentence about the IDGs. It's like, we need the IDGs. These are the tools to fulfill the SDGs, something like that. Is there other questions?
Just one thing about what you said, Ingo. The main difference is that the IDGs I see more as a concept and idea, and the SDGs, and that's the strange but also a weakness, is that these are appointments that 193 countries made together. Yeah, so that's really a political contract. The SDGs, the IDGs are not.
Thank you very much. Other questions? If not, if not yet, can you tell us a bit more about how it's going with the SDGs beyond 2030? Do you think how the chances are that we will still have the SDGs in the same context, or could be that there are some important changes, for example, that SDG 18 will get more importance and will lower down other SDGs or something like that? Or is there no, you can't say anything about it?
I would be happy to say something motivating about that. Yeah. But as the process even in the last half year are many, how to say, many aims, or also many processes set up for post 2030 agenda had been stopped, even at the European Union's level. If you think about the new Green Deal agenda of von der Leyen, it really forced the SDG processes. There had been a lot of synergies, and when I see now the new omnibuses, it's about thinking about agriculture, especially. It's about processes to make it easier availability of pesticides. It's about lower prices for for nitrogen and it's to my mind it's going now in the wrong direction since about 2 years, and so now the many people in the sustainability scene, they are really concerned and worried about further development, yeah, because it might be a back development, a minimizing, and so the focus now is to keep the agenda, not to develop it further. Last year I would have said different things. I would have talked about the ideas of the SDG 18 and also yeah, going further at the SDG 14, the marine ecosystems. But now we're in different times, and the focus is really to keep the agenda, and how to say, not opening up discussion processes, because these discussions might go in the wrong direction.
If an additional question, if you don't look at the own topic, is if you have a look on the political side, how they do you think, if you can you make a global, an EU and a national announcement, how the political actors will be stay to make another contract after 2030? Do you think there is a way to make that big contract again? Because I heard in 2015 was more or less likely that everybody said, yeah, let's go to it.
I would like to say something optimistic and motivating, and unfortunately something that is not. I think, as I feel in Austria, also in Germany and Scandinavian countries, that these SDG processes are on many sides implemented in local agendas, in rural agendas, in agenda or development agendas of big cities, like Linz or Graz in Austria, and that's not also true for Europe. That's also true for, as I said before, Asia, East Asia and South America. And these people, or these political decision makers that implemented this, they will go on with this process. I think even past 2030, they set up sustainable agendas, and they use the SDG goals as a compass for sustainable development, for local, regional sustainable development processes, to have a checklist which aspects of sustainability they might think of, they should have the focus on, and these sustainability processes will go on. So the Agenda 2030 will work whether we have an Agenda 2030 or not. You know, it will go on working, and it will also shape the future of our world, even in some special countries. On the other hand side, I'm really worried about whether Europe will go on in this Agenda 2030 process, because now we've got the focus on financing military defense projects, and maybe getting economy working without combustion engines. This is now the focus of as I feel of European policy, and this focus was not so 1 or 2 years before, and I think that there's even a problem whether the United Nations will work without the US. I don't know how much I should say about that because I don't want to be a bad prophet. But the financing of the United Nations has strong connections to the United States and all the other things, all the other organizations. And what US does now at the UN process, also what Russia does, we should be very worried about that. And so I also think we saw the last 10 years that these SDGs are how to say a very conscious and open-minded way to think about sustainability, and also to get sustainability on the ground, to get in processes and also have indicators to see how we go on in these processes. And yeah, it's unfortunately it's not the time to develop it further.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions? Maybe I have a question on the sustainable goal of energy, so affordable energy and renewable energy. Why is this a goal in itself? I never understood it because humans want to have the energy services with a amount of energy which could be close to zero. I don't want to have energy. I want to have the service.
Yeah.
Why was in the Sustainable Development Goals this a goal for itself? Is it really a goal to have affordable energy, to make the prices of the energy going down? It's counterproductive. The price goes down, the consumption goes up. Or do I need energy at all, or a big amount of it? I understand we should get rid of the fossil fuels, move to renewables. So a shift is necessary, but the goal to having affordable energy, is it a goal in itself, or did I misunderstood something there?
No, I think you understood it right, but the main point what we should think of is that these sustainable development goals are the result of years and years of international negotiations. And I also worked at the Horn of Africa, yeah, so in Uganda, in Sudan, and so on, and also in Asian countries of the global South, and I saw what it means to people if there's no affordable energy, when it's too expensive or there's no electricity network. And I think I didn't take part in the negotiations, but I think that's a reason that's the reason why it got formulated as it is, because it's from the point of view of people that don't have any energy or affordable energy. Yeah. And there are also there are a lot of development projects, as I know, or in the time when I was working at the development aid, we had been really focused on drinking water, nutrition, and electricity. And so I think that this might be because of that.
From a historic point of view.
Yeah, it's a historical aspect.
So, further question. It's not, and
No.
online?
No. Yeah, is there no question left? Your last chance. Thank you very much, Franz, for your time. Thank you for the insights and for the open speaking.